One of the things that you might be contemplating as you watch Dallas Stars hockey is, will Miro Heiskanen ever win a Norris Trophy? Because he's one of the best defensemen in the NHL, and especially this season, it seems as though he's regained some form that maybe he either lost previously or, of course, in the playoffs last year, wasn't at 100% because he was coming back from very serious knee surgery. I know there is some recognition, and the reason why it got me going was because a lot of the voting, Luds, comes from that big voting block in Toronto. There are a lot of media members that have a lot of votes in the Toronto area, some other major NHL markets. Typically, Dallas players don't get a lot of attention because they don't get that stage very often. But if they're starting to make that, could that lead to something, whether it's this year or down the road, of, hey, he's been too good for too long for us not to vote for him, maybe over the guy that has the most points?
Yeah, I guess we might as well get it right out front. As long as number 8 is still playing for the Colorado Avalanche and healthy, meaning Cale Makar, and you mentioned Quinn Hughes, they're probably going to get most of the ink, and they're probably going to get most of the points. I think where it changes a little bit for me now with Miro is that, number one, he's on the penalty kill a lot more now. So now I think you can, instead of being a one-dimensional kind of player, I think you can throw him into the category where he's playing at both ends of the rink, and he's getting about the same amount of time, with the exception of Essa, as anybody else would out there. So, and the other thing that he's obviously doing is we see him against top players all the time because of his skating ability. I do think that there's going to come a time, and then the other thing that comes in the equation for me is injuries. And especially this year, there's a lot of injuries, and there's a lot with Thomas Harley being out. Lyubushkin's been in and out, and there's some other guys that have been in and out of the lineup. And Miro was, again, 27, 28. I think he's averaging about 27, 28 minutes a game now, all situations. And then the biggest thing for me that we're all happy about is he's shooting the puck more. And I think that's probably where the points are starting to come. We're starting to see that. And he's getting results from shooting it, not just in the goal department, but pucks are, again, we'll go to the power play. So they're the best power play in the league as of right now. And last year we all were kind of, come on, put Thomas Harley out there because he's going to shoot the puck and it's going to break things down. Now Miro's starting to do that. So obviously he listens to Dlls and he hears us complain about it a lot. But now for me, I guess in a long-winded way of just now, I'm saying he's becoming more of a rounded defenseman, where I think you always kind of, you think of him being that offensive guy. He defends in his own differently. He defends by having the puck on his stick and carrying it out. It helps having a partner like Essa right now. But I think he's definitely in the conversation. There's no question about it. I just think that in today's selection for the Norris, these guys just go, who's at the top of the scoring thing? And, where does their team go? And how much is a part of the team? And Miro's just as much a part of this team as Quinn Hughes is and Cale Makar. But the points are different. And I just think that's where it's going to continue to go.
All right, let's go to the guy who actually has a vote in this award, the Professional Hockey Writers Association member himself, Sam Nestler. So, Sam, what say you on this matter?
Yeah, Lloyd's laid out the main topics, which is that the stuff that Miro brings, we all know he's one of the best defensemen in the league. The problem is that this has become a points award. It just has. There's no way to argue that. But I wrote about this yesterday. The thing that I'm looking at for Miro is not, can he do it, or what does he have to do it? It's that he just has to get himself in the conversation. I think he's finished 10th, maybe 9th. So he's gotten in there at least. People know how good he is, but he's been so far from that line of points that he's not even close to getting in the top 5, top 3. He doesn't have to lead the NHL, and he's not going to. As Lud said, he's never going to finish above Quinn Hughes, Cale Makar, even guys like Chychrun, who's got 10 goals already, Adam Fox. But he has to get to like the maybe point per game kind of guy. Maybe he finishes with 80, 85, and I think his best year was 73 in 22-23. Because if he gets to that point, let's say, let's just random number here. Let's say Cale Makar finishes with 95, 100 points, and Miro Heiskanen has 80. That's close enough to me where you can kind of start to look at the other things that Luz is talking about. The Miro playing as many minutes as he does, killing penalties as well as he does, matching up with Connor McDavid in 3-on-3 and basically shutting the best player in the world down for 3 minutes. That's what he has to do in order to get in the conversation, is get himself points-wise close enough to it. Because if you're not in that area, as Lud said, they may not pick the points leader, but if you're not in the top 3 of it, you're probably not even on the board. So for Miro, I think it's been really surprising to me this year seeing how much more offense he's produced, because, he doesn't have to be the guy. Thomas Harley is the most offensive player on the blue line in Dallas. But with Harley out, and even before, as Liz was saying, they had Miro on the power play, on the top power play a lot of the season already. He's shown that ability to be a little more aggressive. I mean, that goal in New Jersey the other night, as much as it's a wide open shot coming down the slot, and you're like, what else is he going to do? Of course he's going to shoot it. We've seen him not shoot that. We've seen him coming down there and try to find that backdoor perfect pass, because that's what he wants to do. That's his initial instinct with the puck. I think if he gets himself to a point where he can be a point per game kind of guy, then the other intangibles start to come into play with those people. Because as you said, Owen, it's not about impressing me. He'll be, Thomas Harley. I think Thomas Harley was on my ballot last year as number 5. So you're going to impress the people that see you every day. It's about impressing that big chunk of people up in Toronto and Montreal that don't see these guys every night. And I think get yourself within the top 10, top 7 of defensive scoring, which is about where he is right now. And you're at least in the conversation and give yourself a chance.
Lud, you mentioned penalty kill already, but I wanted to go a little deeper in that because I just took a quick look at shorthanded time on ice amongst defensemen in the NHL through this point in the season. No surprise, Esa Lindell once again leads the entire league. He is a mutant in the most wonderful way, as he is averaging 4 minutes and 8 seconds of shorthanded time per game, and he has over 115 penalty shorthanded time on ice minutes already this year. But none of the guys that we would typically expect to be Norris candidates because of their offense are in that top 10, or actually in the top 20, top 25, except for Miro Heiskanen this year. Could that be enough to not cancel out the offense? Because as Sam said, he's on nearly a point per game pace, which is good for Miro's selection resume. But if he is in the, he's averaging a little over 3 minutes a game shorthanded, that could at least be a card to play in the argument.
Not
enough.
So. I just don't think that these guys that are making these selections are going to go back and go, yeah, but he was in time on ice on PK shorthand. He was in the top 25. I don't think that's going to put him over the hump. I just believe that they're so geared to. Yeah, they should. Well, you're preaching to the choir right now.
They should look a lot deeper.
Here's the problem, Sam. So, and they've tap danced around this. I don't think it'll ever happen, but they're saying, should there be another award for defensemen, like
defensive defenseman?
Yeah, I don't even know if you want to call it that, because that just means you don't get any points. And so I don't know what they would actually
call it. The
criteria would be, but now I don't even think that would help Miro, because he falls just below this, and he's really not known as an Esa Lindell.
Right.
Because Esa would be the guy at the top of that list for me, within 5 or 10 people. And right offhand, I can't think of all the other ones I would pick. But
the other one that would stand out to me, because of we all got to see it at the Four Nations, and we don't see him a lot in Carolina, but Jacob Slavin.
Well, yeah,
Slavin and Lindell are the two that always come to mind when we talk about
Hedman.
Really good defensive defense. Hedman is that rare combination of having a little bit of everything, and I think the reason why Miro doesn't get more of the Victor Hedman treatment is he just isn't that massive physical human presence that Hedman is, right. But few are.
I just don't know if it actually, I'm sure Miro would love that award, but I think at the end of the day, because he's part of a group, part of a team, that it's the ultimate prize, is the bigger award that they want. And so I think anybody would give up those awards to win that big trophy as a team. I just think he's one of the top 5 defensemen in the league, however you want to slice it, whether you want to put him defensively or offensively. I don't know if he's ever going to be able to crack that one over the top until a couple of those guys, miss some games during the season and they have a poor season, which they generally don't. So I think it's going to be tough for him. But again, at the end of the day, it's the team that matters.
Sam, when we're recording this Friday, December 5th, before the game against the San Jose Sharks, Miro is a top 5 defensive offensive player as far as tied for 5th with 24 points. But he's 9 points behind Cale Makar. Again, we have 2/3 of the season left to go. But if he is in your top 5, right, we've got Makar, Werenski, Fox, Bouchard, Chychrun, Morrissey, Heiskanen, John Carlson, Jake Sanderson, and of course, because he's been injured a little bit, Quinn Hughes. But if he's in his top 5, maybe top 3, I think there's something there.
Yeah, that's I think the key. And as Lud said, he doesn't care, right? Miro doesn't care about a whole lot other than going out and playing games. But it would be cool for the fan base. And I think that's what these awards are for. It's cool for, the GMs and everyone to have a guy who won a big award. It was a huge moment when Jamie Benn won that award during a not so great season where they missed the playoffs. But for the fan base, the Stars don't get a whole lot of these awards, which is fine if they have 3 Stanley Cups in the last 15 years, but they don't. So for this fan base to have, now they have Mikko Rantanen, who likes to pick up some awards and lead some things in scoring. They have defensemen that can do it. Thomas Harley, I would not be surprised, gets himself into Norris conversation in his future. It would be cool for the fan base itself to get one of these major awards. The Art Ross was a big one, but one of these, the Selkes, the MVP, the Norris, one of those big ones to hang up in that trophy case that's over there at Frisco. And I think that for Miro to do it, even for Harley to do it, if we're talking about either one of them, they need to be top 3 to 4 of scoring and then get themselves at least some points.
I have one thing I want to throw at you.
Okay, do you guys think that if they, by the end of the year, would overtake Colorado in the standings-wise, that would help?
Yes.
Because to me, that would be saying that Miro Heiskanen did this to get, or helped do this to get him past. I just wonder if that would be, that can
chew on this. Roman Josi won the Norris Trophy in 2020.
Yeah.
Now it was COVID shortened because they had to stop the season in March.
Yeah, PK Subban won one too.
In 69 games, he had 65 points. John Carlson had 75 that year. But Josi, 10 points less, was given the award because of his overall importance to the Predators and, of course, his overall play. That, to me, that's your formula, is you don't have to be number 1 in offense, but you've got to be to the point where they look at the other guy and say, hey, more well-rounded.
What year was that?
2020.
How many goals will Ovechkin get that year? About 70?
Probably.
Carlson was giving him the puck all the time.
So
they probably go, well, he's getting a lot of points because of that. And they could say, it'd be fair to say, Makar's getting him because of McKinnon.
Fair.
But again, the same thing here is that, Miro's going to be getting a lot of points because of the power play. And I could name one guy, but it's really because of 5 of them. So I don't know. I just think that because those other 2 guys have it, everybody wants, we just talked about this the other day. If somebody offered Quinn Hughes for, I don't even know who.
We were talking about, would you trade Harley?
Was that?
And that was
and
Sean
we all
on.
immediately went, yes. And if
has that opinion changed?
No.
Right.
No. And if it was Makar, would you? Yes.
Yes, because they're that good.
Does Miro have that out there? Does Miro have that perception of, if you use the same kind of guys for whoever you're talking about trading for, does he have that? I don't think he has it right now.
But I don't think he has it.
He doesn't demand, he dominates the game when we watch him. We see it. But he doesn't, if you watch Cale Makar, you see him everywhere. He dominates he's pretty good at his defensive end. He's good at breakouts like Miro, but he's also carrying the puck a ton. He's setting up crazy skill. Let's not even forget about that. The skilled plays. It's not just points either. You go watch a highlight reel of Cale Makar versus Miro Heiskanen. They look like totally different players. That part of it gets the eye test that you guys are talking about. He dominates the game just like Cale Makar, but you don't notice it as much unless you're really looking for it.
And here's the other thing that I would add to that. And I haven't seen every game that Quinn Hughes and Cale Makar have played against a guy like Connor McDavid. They would probably be the kind of players that the way that they keep Connor McDavid quiet, or as quiet as you can, is because they have the puck. We've seen how Miro can defend against Connor McDavid.
Stride
the most
for stride.
dangerous guy. And we're talking about a guy that's skating backwards.
Yes.
And he keeps a gap. And so that to me would go into the formula for me. I don't know how you do that, but I'm just saying that we've been able to see, and I watch him. I still remember 3 years ago, there was a puck that turned over the neutral zone, and McDavid was actually going the direction. Miro was going the other direction towards the offensive zone, and McDavid was just kind of sliding up to the offensive, going towards the offensive. And on a dime, he stopped, and he was stride for stride with him skating backwards. I've never seen it like that against anybody against Makar. And from then on, I'm like the guy, and I watched him the last couple of weeks ago. I don't remember who we were playing against. he just can stay. Well, it's probably McDavid. It was 3-on-3 the last time they came in here, I believe.
Yeah.
That was early November.
And McDavid couldn't do anything. McDavid looked, just basically frustrated in the whole game because Miro shut him down. Do the other guys do that? I don't know if they can do that like Miro can.
What do you guys think as we wrap up this mini pod? With 2/3 of the NHL regular season to go, what do you need to see from Miro Heiskanen to get the conversation enough to maybe getting the votes he needs to win his first ever Norris Trophy?